Hi guys, welcome to Piece of Code and welcome to this video. So basically in this particular video we are going to continue with chapter 2 of our OCA preparation series, and we are going to continue with our operators topic. So we're going to see unary operators, then we are going to see some logical complement and negation operators, and increment and decrement operators, and assignment operators, and we are also going to discuss some of the common questions which come from these topics. Okay, yeah, so let's continue. So a unary operator is one that requires exactly one operand. Okay, like in binary operators you need two operands, right, to operate, like a plus, minus, or in like arithmetic operators, right? They are binary operators. But in unary operators it's just one operand or one variable. Now if you look at this particular table, so see the first operator is plus, so it indicates a number is positive. So but the thing is, if you write a particular number in Java, so it is already considered as positive, right? So it actually makes no sense to use it, but still it means that it is a positive number. Then we have this negative sign. It indicates that a literal number is negative or negates an expression. So basically if you write -4, then it's a negative number. Then we have plus plus, basically, which is a increments value by 1. Okay, we are going to see pre and post increment operators and decrement operators. So basically plus plus means that it increments a value by 1, and minus minus means that it decrements a value by 1. And at the end we have a invert operator or a negation operator or a not operator, which inverts a boolean's logical value. Okay, now talking about logical complement and negation operators, right? So I have already created a class known as unary operators, so we can practice our stuff here. So if I say, for example, not, right? So basically if I say boolean x equals to false, and if I do x equals to not x, then basically it will just invert its value, right? Pretty easy to understand. Okay, let me just run the code. So it says true. It was false and now it is true. Okay, so likewise a negation operator minus reverses the sign of a numeric expression. For example, if I just say double y equals to 1.21, and if I say y equals to minus y, then it will be minus 1.21. So it will be minus 1.21. Now sometimes what happens is the exam may try to trick you. Okay, and it will try to trick you by doing this kind of stuff. For example, it will say int z equals to not 5. Okay, the thing is it doesn't compile, because the thing is you can only use this not operator with boolean boolean data type. You cannot use it with integer data type. For integer data type you have to use the -1. Okay, so it can trick you in the exam and it may confuse you because the time is really less. तो आपको लगेगा कि ठीक है ये सही है, then you will just say that it will not result in a compilation issue, but it actually results in a compilation issue. Okay, so basically that is what unary operators are. Now let's talk about increment and decrement operators. So let me just comment these things out so that it will not cause any issues. Now let us talk about increment and decrement operators, which are plus plus and minus minus. Now remember one thing, there are two types of increment and decrement operator. One is pre-increment operator or decrement operator, and post-increment or decrement operator. So basically if the increment operator or a decrement operator is before a operand or a variable, for example plus plus 5 or plus plus x, right, then it is a pre-increment or decrement operator. But if the increment or decrement operator is after the particular variable or operand, for example x plus plus or 5 plus plus, then it is a post increment and decrement operator. Now remember one thing, the kind of operation that happens in pre and post actually differs. If you just have one variable and you apply a increment or decrement operator, then it's fine. But the thing is, if it is in the as in a statement, in a complete expression, a lot of increment and decrement operators are used, then it will be an issue right there, and you will find evaluating that expression a little bit difficult. So let us understand the rules of pre and post increment decrement operator. So if talking about pre increment operator, so if I do plus plus x and if I assign it to a particular variable, for example int z equals to plus plus x, now what will happen in this case is the value of x will be incremented first as it's a pre-increment operator, and then that value will be stored in the variable z. Okay, very very important. The value of the operand x will be incremented first, so the operation will happen first and then the value will be stored in the variable z. But if it is like this, int z equals to x plus plus, now in this case what will happen is that the value of x will be stored first into the variable z, and then after that the operation will happen. So if for example the value of x was 6, right, so in this case z will be 6. So z equals to 6 in this case, because what will happen, z equals to 7, my bad, z equals to 7, because what will happen, the plus plus x will happen first, so it will be 7, and then the value of 7 will be updated in z, so z will be 7 in this case. But in this case, if you do this, then the value of z will be 6, because first the value of x was 6, right, previously, so it will be stored in z first, and then after storing the value of z, x will be incremented and x value will be 7. So this is how pre and post increment works, and the same is for the decrement also. So it is very very important to understand how these things actually work. Now let us take an example, right? Let us take an example and let us try to understand through a question which may come in the exam. So the question goes like this. So let us take this example, int x equals to 3, and let us say int y equals to plus plus x, right, plus plus x, and then into 5 divided by x minus minus plus minus minus x. Now you can get confused in this particular scenarios, but if you follow the precedence table which we saw in the previous video, and also the rules of pre and post increment, then it is a piece of cake for you. Now if so, let's display the value of x and y. We are going to see later on what will be the value of x and y. Let's first try to solve this particular expression. Now if I try to solve this particular expression, let's go step by step. Now this one is a little bit more complicated than the previous examples like this one, because it was a straightforward example, but you have to actually think about this as a lot, because in this particular example x is modified 3 times on the same line. If you see, once here, and once here. Now and it goes from left to right, right? So the value of x changes with different values being assigned to the variable. And here the order of operation plays an important part in evaluating this example. You cannot go directly from left to right and just keep on evaluating. You have to follow the order of precedence and also the rules of pre and post increment. Now let us try to do it. Now how do you read this code? Now first of all, what will happen, the x is incremented and returned to the expression. Okay, x is incremented and returned to the expression, which means that this one will be evaluated first because this is a pre-increment and it has higher precedence, right, according to the precedence table. Now what will happen, so it will go like this. So the first step, int y equals to 4 into 5, right, because x was 3 first and then it became 4. Pretty simple to understand. 5 divided by x minus minus. Go step by step, don't try to solve it all at once, right, plus minus minus x, right. So this was the first step. Next what will happen, x is decremented, right, but the original value of 4 is used in the expression. Why? Because it is a post. So the value of x will be used first and then it will get decremented. So what will be the next step right now? So int y equals to, so the next step will be like 4 into 5, right. So basically 4 into 5 divided by 4, right, because the value of x will be used first and then it will get decremented. So 5 by 4 plus minus minus x is the second step, right. Now what will happen, then what will happen, so what happened here, now x was taken as a value of 4, but after x is being taken as a value of 4, x will get decremented to 3, right, because once the value has been assigned, now x's value has been decremented to 3. Now in the next step what will happen, int y equals to 4 into 5 divided by 4 plus minus minus x. Now minus minus x, so after the value was assigned to 4, then what happened, x got decremented. Now the current value of x is 3 and now it got decremented again with the pre-decrement operator over here. Now x value became 2, So plus 2, because here x is assigned the value of 2, because first it got decremented and then it got assigned. So here what happened, x is assigned the value of 2, right? So this is how you will go step by step. So this is how you will differentiate between pre and post increment and decrement operators. Now at the end, after solving all these things, like now it is pretty easy, you can directly apply the order of precedence. You can just solve the multiply first, then divide, and then just add 2, then you will get y equals to 7 and x equals to 2. So I think the value of x is 2, and obviously we found the value of x to be at the end equals to 2, right? And y equals to what? Y equals to 7. Okay, because 4 into 5 is 20, 20 divided by 4 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7. So y is 7 and x, we already knew that x value is 2, right? Now if I just run this code right now, then you can see 2 and 7 over here. So these kind of questions will come into the particular exam. So make sure you are very much familiar with these things, and just remember the order of precedence table and the usage of the pre and post increment and decrement operators. That is how you will be able to score in the exam. Okay, इतना भी मतलब घबराने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. It is kind of easy. If you understand it, then it's a piece of cake. ठीक है. Now let us go to assignment operators. Now assignment operator is a binary operator, okay, that modifies or assigns the variable on the left hand side of the operator. So basically we were using this from the start. So if you do a int x equals to 1, then basically this is the assignment operator, and this is the variable which is on the left side, and this is the value which is getting assigned on the right side. So pretty easy to understand, right? Now Java will automatically promote from smaller to larger data types. We have already seen this in numeric promotion, and if you remember the rules of numeric promotion, Java automatically promotes. If you have a short, it will automatically promote to an int, right? Some kind of that rule. We already seen that. But it will throw a compiler exception if it detects you are trying to convert from a larger to a smaller data type. Now what do I mean by that? So if I just say, for example, int x equals to 1.0, now the thing is, it's a double and it's a int, whatever it is, but double is a larger data type than int. So basically it throws a compiler error over here, so it doesn't compile in this case. Okay, and another example, if you remember from our first chapter, long y equals to, if I do this, then it is considered as an int, because by default all numbers are considered as int in particular Java. So what is the solution to this? You just append an L to it at the end. Now it is considered as a long number. Now you can store it in the long. I have already discussed this in detail previously. So this is one of the things. And if you also try to do this, int z equals to 9f, it is also not possible because they are different data types, and this is a floating data type and you are trying to assign it to an integer data type. So this is not possible. Now what is the solution to this thing, right? Is the Java explicitly converting smaller data types to larger data types the only solution, or is there any way where you can convert larger data types to smaller data types in Java? And the answer is yes, you can do that by using something known as explicit typecasting. So basically in explicit typecasting, what you do is you forcefully convert a larger data type into a smaller data type. Let's see an example. Let me just comment these out and let's see an example. So what we do is we say int x equals to int 1.0. So what we are doing over here is we are saying, okay, this is a double data type, no issues, but just convert it to an int. That's it. We are saying the compiler, please convert it to an int. That's it. Now if I try to do this, short y equals to for example 192.1.222, right? Now this is not going to be held by a short, but if I try to convert it to a short forcefully, it will get converted. But if I try to do this, right, and if I run the code, then you can see that the number is 20,678. Why is that? Because in this case what is happening, it overflows. Now if you remember in chapter 1 we have discussed about overflow and underflow in byte, in the concept of byte. What happens is that byte can hold from, so in case of byte can hold from -128 to +127. Now if you give a greater number than +127, it will go back to -128 and the cycle will continue, because byte can only hold one byte of data. So basically it can only hold from -128 to +127. So if you give, for example, +130, then it will go back to the negative part and it will be -128, -127, -126. So that will be the answer. So it kind of overflows in that case. Similar cases for the short in this case, as short cannot hold this kind of data. So the maximum data of short is somewhere between 20,000 or somewhere like that. So what it does, it just overflows. It just starts from the beginning and it just goes in a cycle. So that is why we are getting 20,678 in this case. Okay, so this is a common question which may come in the exam. So make sure you know about this. You don't have to remember the exact overflow and underflow values, but it's fine. Okay, so let's see some other examples. Let me just comment this out, because I have a hard time remembering variable names, so I'm going to reuse the same variable names. And if I don't comment it out, then basically क्या होगा कि वो बोलेगा कि the variable has already been used. Okay, let's say short x equals to 10, short y equals to 3, and short z equals to, for example, x into y. Right now, as you guys have guessed, this is already throwing an compiler error, and it says something like it says type mismatch. Okay, obviously cannot convert from int to short. So based on everything we have learned up till now, right, you can understand why the last line of the statement will not compile, and it is very, very important, and I hope you guys remember. Short values are automatically promoted to int when applying any arithmetic operator. So the resulting value is of type of int. So trying to set a short variable on int results in a compiler error. Simple as that. So Java thinks we are trying to implicitly convert from a larger data type to a smaller data type, right? It's very, very easy right now, guys, because we have talked about numeric promotion a lot. So what is the solution? Just convert it to a short, this whole particular expression. You are saying okay, just convert it to a short, and then it is gone. The compiler error is gone. So by performing this explicit cast of a larger value into a smaller type, you are instructing the compiler to ignore its default behavior, which is basically converting all the smaller types to a larger type, right? That is the default behavior. That is known as implicit typecasting. But you are explicitly typecasting to a smaller data type, and you are forcing the compiler to do this stuff. So basically everything is in your control. Okay, Java is also in your control, so don't have to worry about that. Very, very easy to understand, guys. If you have any doubts, please type it down in the chats or in the comments. Sorry. So this is how it is. This is known as explicit typecasting. Okay, now let us talk about another thing about assignment operators, which is known as compound assignment operators. And basically when we are going to talk about compound assignment operators, right, and basically I think you guys have a little bit idea about it. So it is something like plus equals to, minus equals to, minus equals to, and for example into equals to. It goes like this. Now if I see some examples, if I do this thing, so for example int x equals to 2 and z equals to 3, and if I do x equals to x into z, and if I do x into equals to z. So basically what is happening over here, this expression, right, this expression and this expression is basically the same. So what we are doing is we are kind of saving some space. So basically this part is kind of removed. So basically x into equals to z means that we are multiplying this value with z and storing back the value in x. What we are doing over here, it's the same only. So these two expressions are basically the same thing. This is basically also known as a shorthand operator. Shorthand operator, and it is also known as compound assignment operators. And it is also known as complex operators. It has a lot of names. I don't know why, but still all these things mean the same. So basically whenever you see a question regarding this, it is the same thing. Compound operators are useful for more than just this shorthand, right? Because uske bahut sare kaam hai. Basically They can also save us from having to explicitly cast a value. For example, let's see a particular example and you will understand, right? So let me just comment this out and let us go down, and let's say long x equals to 10 and int y equals to 5, and let's say y into equals to x. Let's do this thing. Now you can see there is no errors, right? But what if I do this thing? So this expression and this expression is basically the same, right? Y equals to y into x. So these two expressions are same. But if you see over here, this expression is throwing an error, but the previous expression was not throwing an error. Why is that? Let's see the the concept of this thing. So basically, in this particular case, in this particular last line, you can understand that it could be fixed with an explicit cast to int. If you do an explicit cast to int, then it will be fixed because one is long and one is int. So Java automatically tries to convert it to long, but we are trying to store it in an int. So basically, it throws an error that cannot cast it to an int, because according to the rules of numeric promotion, it is automatically converted to a long. This is fine. This is understandable. But what about this? What is actually happening over here? In this case, what is happening is this particular thing is automatically casted to an int. So what is this compound operator which you are seeing into equals to will first cast x to a long, apply the multiplication of two long values, and then cast the result back to an int. Okay, so you don't have to actually do an explicit typecasting back to an int if you are using a compound assignment operator. It will do that for you. So that step is also reduced. So basically, compound operators are kind of shorthand operators, and along with that, it also helps you to automatically typecast to a lower data type. If you are doing that, it will be automatically cast it for you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. All right. Now, one final thing to know about assignment operator is that the result of the assignment is the expression in and of itself equal to the value of the assignment. So always the assignment operator assigns the value to the variable which is on the left hand side. That is what I am saying. Now what I mean by that, let us see an example. So if there is something on the exam, there is some questions like this. So long x equals to 5, and then if we have a long y equals to, then we have a x equals to 3 over here, and this is a common question they try to give in the exam. They try to play around with the minds of the students. So we display x and we display y. Now what is happening in this case is that, so if I try to display the code, then we have 3 and 3 over here. Why is that? Because first, this is pretty basic to understand that x is assigned the value of 5, but over here what is happening, first x is assigned the value of 3 because x equals to 3 is done over here, and then this value which is 3, right, is assigned back to y. So assignment operator will do its job, which is basically assigning a value to a variable. So this is happening over here, but here also the value of 3 is assigned to x first, and then it is assigned back to y. That is why both the values of x and y are basically 3 and 3. Pretty easy to understand, and don't get confused in the exam. Don't think this is a compiler error, because it is perfectly normal if someone does this. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this particular video, guys, for this particular lecture. Yeah, so we're going to meet again with a new topic, I think next week. Till then, have a good day. Bye bye.